If there's one thing I know for certain, it's that no matter what world you live on, nothing beats the smell of fresh coffee in the morning. I discovered a dwarven supplier of coffee beans from a small village northwest of the capital. The region had thousands of acres of coffee bean production. It was a relatively new crop for the residents of Orelon and one of the most popular. I'd bought the supplier's entire stock with 3 octagon crowns, the local currency that Chloe had brought in at her tavern, much to the chagrin of our resident merchant, Wofford.
"Why are you buying from those shady suppliers up north when you know I can get you half the price if you give me a little time?"
He reminded me every time I made a new pot. Not like he was in a hurry to bring some back to the manor to sell me. Hell, I couldn't remember the last time Wofford left. At least he'd calmed down some over the past couple days. I was thankful he'd stopped giving me shit for letting the poachers kill Grasshopper, his mint-colored horse. Considering what I replaced his horse and cart with, I didn't think he had too much to complain about. I grabbed my new favorite mug, lifted the small pot off the fire, and poured myself a fresh cup. As I returned to the fireplace, I couldn't help but think of Stryker. There was a part of me that knew he was still alive. Like goddamn Wile E. Coyote, I'd concluded the guy could be run over, stabbed, crushed, and shot 10 times over, and the son of a bitch would come back and haunt my ass. The poacher leader's words still echoed in my head. If it were not for that old man, I would have given you much worse than a scar. I made it one of my top priorities to discover if my mother had been in Orelon, and to find out who the man was that he'd mentioned. The same man that could have given me my scar and potentially saved my life. Each of my bonded knew how important it was to me as well, so each of them had agreed to help me dig up anything they could find that may give me even a sliver of information regarding my mother, scar, or the old man. Unfortunately, our search has resulted in little. We spent much of the past few days reinforcing our defenses around the manor. I ensured we had an escape plan so we wouldn't be caught in the same predicament as we had last time. Even though we outnumbered the poachers behind our defenses, they got in with ease. It didn't help that most of our visitors lacked training in combat, another thing that my bonded and I had worked tirelessly to improve upon over the past couple of days. Fortunately, most of them showed a desire to learn. Within a day and a half, we had Fapplejack and the rest of his clan trained enough to be a legitimate fighting force. I opened the front door and peered outside for a few minutes before returning my pot of coffee back to the fire. The crisp morning air held a distinctive bite over the past few days, signaling a subtle change in seasons. From what I could tell, minus the flying centaurs, talking monsters, and general lawlessness of Orelon, the terrain and weather were very similar to back home in Colorado. We'd even gotten some rain the other day. One of my newfound favorite things to do was to watch Dahlia dance in the rain. My Elrani was striking in her element. She even managed to pull me outside during the last storm. The only dance I knew was the two-step. Thankfully, it was all I needed. You would have thought I was a dance god the way Gwen and Chloe looked at me when I came back inside after an impromptu slow dance with Dahlia. I shut the door and returned to the fireplace. I ran my hand along the carved letters in the mantel's side. L-H-W. I knew it was a long shot, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the L stood for Liliana. A small voice near the front door pulled me from my thoughts.
"Good morning, Logan, sir,"
Fabzack said as he entered. The goblin adjusted a leather tool belt around his waist and held out his small mug for a refill. The only thing that I regretted about sharing my love of coffee with the others was that it meant less for me. "Good morning." I filled his cup and placed the pot back on the hot rocks surrounding the fire. "What are you working on today?"
"Oh, well, we'll finish the stable today. After that, our clan is making the trek to the capital for the tournament."
"Tournament, eh? It's only a week away, right?"
"That's right, and Fapplejack wants to take part."
I let out a small chuckle. He's a great builder, but I don't think I've seen him fight. You think he's ready for it?
"Oh, yes. The tournament's not all about who's strongest. Be ready for anything. Use your surroundings. Be creative. I can't think of many more qualified than Fapplejack."
"Fair enough. Good for him."